Jabroni, Jabronixyz, oh, it doesn't matter, you spell jabroni.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Two Jabronis with a Wrestling Podcast. BJ Cruz here with my tag team partner, the man rocking an amazing Tracy McGrady Raptors jersey, the incomparable Jeremy Loss. Jay, what's up, dude?
I had to wear this today because it is freaking scorching by my house. So I had to wear this one. It was either this one or I bust out the Mike Bibby Vancouver Grizzlies jersey. And I think I wore that on air already. So I thought might as well go with the Raptors this time.
So keeping it in Canada. I like it. I respect it. Paying homage to two of the great NBA franchises, the defending champion Toronto Raptors. By the way, we are, of course, brought to you by the Blue Wire Network and our friends over at betonline.ag. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling spicy, leave a review.
And make sure you follow us on social as well. Follow us at 2 Jabronis Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow us at 2 Jabronis Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe below.
We're pointing.
And you can follow Ben at Cruise Control. That's Control with a K. And you can follow me at Jeremy A. Loss. We will be live tweeting Money in the Bank this weekend as much as we can. It just so happens to coincide with the last dance, and Ben and I are actually huge hoop heads. So
yeah,
the last dance is...
It's going to be a multi-screen evening for both of us on Sunday. Yeah. I'm sure our wives will be thrilled that we're going to be paying even less attention to them on Sunday night. So that'll be that. By the way, the YouTube thing it's been a lot of fun. If you haven't been hopping on there, go check it out. It's basically the same as the audio pods, but you get to see our ugly mugs while we talk about wrestling. So it's
and you get to see Ben's fantastic studio.
You do. You get a little peek. I don't want to give it all away, Jeremy.
Meanwhile, you get a nice view of my closet and my window here. So I mean,
it's a great view. Clearly from where we're standing. All right, it's the main event is pretty straightforward this week. So let's hop into it. Let's get into the main event. And for this week's main event, we have Money in the Bank coming up this weekend on Sunday. So we're making predictions, and I knew this, but seeing it on paper actually kind of on digital threw me off a little bit. How short the card looks. 6 matches, and albeit 2 of those matches are going to happen concurrently, which again, it's going to be insane.
I don't understand how it's going to work.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So, I hope so. Knock on wood. So so it's essentially 5 matches, five blocks of match time, I should say. There'll probably be some pre-show matches. I'm assuming like the Raw tag titles will be on the line or something like that. But it's shaped up to be a decent card. There's only like 1 match on here where I'm like, nah, and we'll kind of get to that. So let's start it off. We got Braun Strowman defending his Universal title against his former Wyatt brethren, Bray Wyatt, now the Fiend. Man, it's who do you got? Let's just start there, and then we'll kind of break it down.
So just to kind of like go back and toward the build, I've actually liked the fact that they're referencing their past history. I think the WWE has a problem sometimes where they kind of wash away history between combatants. And I like the fact that they are leaning into the fact that Braun came into the WWE as a member of the Wyatt family. Even tonight, Bray extended the black sheep mask and told him to come home. So I really enjoyed that. With that said, I think this is going to be a straightforward match. We're not going to get another Firefly Funhouse match, which really is a bummer. And I think because of that, I think Braun Strowman wins. I think now they're committed to him as the Universal Champion. I know that we all loved Bray Wyatt as Universal Champion, but I think they're committed to Braun and potentially Roman. When things kind of come back to normal, Roman coming back and taking the belt off of Braun. They have history. They have decent chemistry in the ring, so I think it could work. And I think now they're just fully committed to Braun. So keep the belt on Braun. Let him keep running.
I think I'm going the opposite as you. I think I'm going Bray here. I think Braun has transitional champion just kind of written all over him. I think they put the strap on him because Roman dropped out last minute, right? Like someone had to take the strap from Goldberg because keeping it on Goldberg would have been a catastrophe of epic proportions, right? So, you give that to Braun. He should have been Universal Champion or World Champion a long time ago. This is maybe them giving him his shine a little bit. And they took the Universal title from Bray prematurely, right? Like we were furious when that shit happened, right? When he lost it, when he dropped it to Goldberg. And I think this is going to be Bray getting it back. And side note, but did you see that the mask he tried to offer Braun tonight? The mask was broken. So I don't know if this is the same mask that Braun wore initially.
Same mask because I feel like the mask was broken when he was quote unquote the black sheep of the Wyatt family. I think it was a broken mask.
Right. Well, okay. If that's the case, then going back to your point of kind of keeping continuity and going back to the past, I'm glad they kept that consistent. But I did notice it. I was like, is there a rip in the ear? Like, Bray couldn't spring for a new mask? Like, if you're trying to lure this dude in, at least give him, put your best foot forward. If it means anything, I'll sprinkle these in throughout because I have them in front of me. The betonline.ag betting odds for Money in the Bank. Braun and Bray, same odds to win. Minus 120. Yeah, it's a pick 'em. So,
wow. I see what you're saying. Like, we would all love to see Bray with the belt back and then Roman take it off of him because that's what should have happened at WrestleMania to begin with.
Right.
They were too afraid to do it. But I feel like now they're committed to Braun. Like, Braun has been somebody that's been like a company man the last few months. He's obviously he's gone out of his way on social media to kind of toe the company line. And I think that's going to pay off for him and he's going to maintain the belt for a little bit longer. Who's to say that we don't get Bray versus Roman for the belt at SummerSlam? I mean, down the line when it means a little bit more. So I'm all in on Braun winning it right now.
Well, I think just our thought processes, and these betting odds are just, they kind of align, right? Like,
yeah, there's some
like I think both of our thought processes make sense. And it really is just kind of up in the air. Because
so let's move on to a match that neither of us are really excited about.
Yeah, this is the one. Spoiler alert.
Really, really bad. Is Bayley versus Tamina for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, to me, part of me thinks they're putting the belt on Tamina.
Oh,
and
come on!
This is where we get the Sasha turn, and Sasha costs Bayley. I mean, at some point they have to kind of award Tamina for just being there. Like she always comes back and she's always around, even though she's not good. She's not good at all. And maybe it's like it could be a short run. Like it could literally be like she wins the belt and then gives it back up on the following week and maybe loses it to like Lacey or somebody. I don't know. But at some point, this Bayley run has to end. They need to find a way to make the Sasha Bayley feud happen soon. And why not just give it to Tamina for shits and giggles? Because she's been around.
Here's my analysis. And it's actually backed up by these betonline.ag odds. Bayley, minus 450 to win the match. So Tamina at plus 275. I just think Bayley's plus
275 though is not a crazy underdog.
It's not crazy. But Bayley's odds are just, look, man, there's just something pointing in that direction just a little too heavily for my taste. Even before I saw these odds, I was going to go Bayley simply because the Sasha Bayley feud, I think it has to have a title attached to it to mean even more. We've talked about,
but I don't think that's true. Like, let's dive into that. So,
okay.
I honestly don't think that needs a title whatsoever. I think that's the only women's match outside of maybe Becky Ronda that doesn't need a title to actually get over and have stakes to it. Like that is a feud that we've been kind of salivating over for a very long time. Obviously, it would be Sasha heel with Bailey face, but I think they may flip roles here. But like, I just feel like fans are so invested in that partnership and that friendship that seeing them separate would have some real stakes to it, that you could have a blood feud go on for a long time and maybe introduce a title down the road. But I think initially you don't need it for it to go off well.
That's a fair point. My thought to it is just also, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum. Like, the SmackDown Women's Championship has kind of been like mediocre at best, right? You add in a blood feud to kind of raise its status in the company. I think it just needs that, because the Raw Women's title just kind of has cachet, right? Like, Becky, for everything, I think she gets not enough credit for everything that she's done for that title, because it still remains the top women's title in the company, right? And that's all the credit to her, because she's done that for over a year. The SmackDown Women's Championship has fluctuated a lot, right? It hasn't meant as much since Becky held the title. Like, it's just been that long. And I think you need a blood feud like Bailey versus Sasha to kind of raise its profile. And then, eventually maybe you can keep that feud going without the title. But I do think it needs to start with it that way. Again, just need to raise that profile again.
See, I think they need to use the belt to raise the profile of the wrestlers so that they can have more options in terms of who could be a viable title holder. Because right now there's literally two. It's Bailey and Sasha. Like, everybody else, it's low to mid tier. Mm-hmm. And they need to utilize the belt, though it doesn't carry much weight. Just putting a belt on a Tamina, on a Lacey, on a Sonya Deville, on a Mandy Rose will help elevate them a little bit more and bring them up to the tier and the status of a Sasha and a Bailey, that eventually they'll have more to play with. So, and make it a little bit more, make the belt worth more. So that's what I'm thinking, is like, just start throwing the belt around and getting people with the belt so they can have a little bit more cachet. Because right now it's like you have Bailey, Sasha, and then everything else. And Sonya Deville,
she's climbing,
slowly creeping up right now, because she is on fire.
Dude, her stock is rising. I think her and Mandy are elevating each other. And I think that's freaking awesome, because I think the SmackDown women's division absolutely needs it. And their feud, this is obviously a tangent to the actual match, but their feud or their split anyway had been teased for a long time, and they're delivering now. Like, Sonya is delivering some of the best promos of her career right now, and it's absolutely phenomenal.
Not even close. Her promos are excellent, and their matches are pretty brutal. I'm actually shocked that they did the match tonight on SmackDown and didn't save it for Money in the Bank, but because that could have been the one match that didn't have a title that fit there. But
right.
I mean, they're going to keep that going. I love what Sonya Deville is doing, and like you said, Mandy is kind of just riding the wave as well, and really coming off strong. So there's some really quality women coming up in a much needed area for SmackDown. Absolutely. So moving on to the WWE Championship, we have Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. Now, there's no way they take the belt off of Drew, right?
No, I think Drew's in for a huge or very, very long title run. I just think it's going to be a Seth Rollins-esque length of how, like, they just have to. I think they've built him up too much, and they spent too much time doing that, making him like the next guy. I think Seth is the perfect first opponent for him to defend it against, right? He's like, Seth is Raw's top heel. He runs that top faction. So to have Drew legitimize, essentially, like him winning the title over, like, I say legitimized a little bit loosely, like him beating Brock was the legitimizing moment. This is kind of like the icing on the cake, right? Like, Seth is phenomenal. And for Drew to get over on him, remember when they were feuding and the roles were reversed, like Seth was a face, Drew was a heel, and they were kind of like faction versus faction. Like, you would just see Seth get over all the time. And I think those roles are going to be flipped. And I think Seth is going to make Drew look like $1 million. Not that he needs all that much help, but Drew is in for a long, long title run. I think they're going to have an incredible match. I'll throw that out.
I think this is, I mean, outside of the ladder matches, which are always going to be match of the night because of just the absurdity of the match, I think this is like the leader in the clubhouse for regular match of the night. I agree with you. I think Seth is going to make Drew look really, really good. I wonder if they're going to do something with Buddy Murphy, because there seems to be some sort of animosity growing between Seth and Buddy. That maybe we get that's where they're going next. Maybe they go Seth versus Buddy.
Oh man,
Split up
that'd be
the
huge.
Messiah. You know what I mean? And that way you can further grow Buddy as a character, because putting him in there with Seth will just only elevate him. And then we got to get Kevin Owens in the mix, because Kevin Owens is obviously the biggest star on Raw outside of Seth Rollins.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back soon.
But yeah, I think this is Drew all the way. I think it's a quality match. I think this is exactly what Drew needs in his title run early on, to really get his run kickstarted. I mean, he's been doing okay without the crowd. He benefits from having a crowd because he's not the greatest promo, but he's doing okay. And I think this will just kind of keep things moving along in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think Bet Online agrees. It's Drew McIntyre minus 600 to retain. Seth at plus 350. Seth has worse odds than Tamina to win the title, so that kind of backs up your previous prediction. All right, let's move on to the SmackDown Tag Team titles being defended by the New Day, the current champions, taking on the Forgotten Sons, being thrust right into the main tag team picture on SmackDown. And who else is in the match? The Miz and John Morrison, obviously, and Lucha House Party. So and so I think obviously one of the Usos, I always confuse them. I'm so sorry. Is out with an injury, an unfortunate knee injury. I think it's going to keep him out 6 to 9 months. And I think that's why they're kind of throwing in these other two teams into the mix to kind of figure out who is going to be in the SmackDown Tag Team title picture. I've got the New Day retaining. I just don't think they're going to be dropping it anytime soon. It's Jimmy Uso, by the way. Jimmy Uso is injured. He's on the shelf with a knee injury. So I've got the New Day retaining here, just because I don't think the Forgotten Sons are ready for it. I think the Miz and Morrison are headed for like a split, to be honest with you, because I think Morrison would be incredible on his own, little solo career. And Lucha House Party, our feelings have been made very clear. You can listen back to some old episodes, but there's just no legitimate team right now, and maybe it is going to be built to a long New Day Forgotten Sons feud, which sign me up for that. That'd be phenomenal, because you can mix Woods back in when he's healthy, so all about that.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I don't think the New Day drop it here. I do think the plans are in the works for New Day Forgotten Sons, but I think now you keep the belt on a New Day. You let them kind of build it with Forgotten Sons. Miz and Morrison can go on their own way, go on their own paths, and then potentially have a breakup. Because, like you said, John Morrison as a singles competitor is just excellent. And Lucha House Party, why are they even in this match? I don't understand it. But you know what? Hey,
get
for them.
Get on TV however you can. New Day.
They needed somebody to agree to going to Stanford for a week to tape, and Lucha House Party was like, just do it. We'll do it.
We will sign us up. New Day with the best odds to win. Morrison and Miz right after Forgotten Sons third, Lucha House Party fourth. So I think we've got a
What are your thoughts on Forgotten Sons? To me, I'm not overly impressed by them.
They had their moments in NXT. Like when they would show up, I don't know if I got like they were kind of there at the worst time, because they were kind of in Undisputed Era's shadow. Like Undisputed Era was just the faction, still is the faction over there, and rightfully so. Like those dudes are freaking phenomenal. I think they'll do better on SmackDown. I think they just need like the three of them versus the New Day kind of just makes more sense than them versus anyone else on NXT. For some reason, I think it's just like a pure heel versus a pure babyface group, right? Like they just never kind of had that in NXT. So I'm cautiously optimistic that they'll work on SmackDown. I guess it's just kind of my baby way of like saying that
I find them to be a lesser version of Sanity.
Sure,
I really liked Sanity.
Sanity was dope.
And Sanity just never got a chance on the main roster. And I don't understand why. I mean, maybe because Forgotten Sons look the part. I mean, they all are fairly big individuals. And like Sanity was led by Eric Young, who is not a big man, and you had Killian Dane, who is not a looker, and Alexander Wolf, and again, not a looker. And like, I just, part of me feels like the only reason that they're getting the push is because they look the part, and they're not that good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how it'll work on SmackDown. Like when they were brought up or brought over, I wasn't necessarily super disappointed or had the reaction of what the hell are they doing here. I thought, it kind of makes sense. They'd had their run in NXT. I think they had done the maximum of what they could do over there because, again, Undisputed Era is going to run that show for as long as they want, and again, rightfully so. So they just kind of needed to get out of that shadow. There's just not a good like heel faction on SmackDown right now. So there is kind of a
just sucks because like it also sucks because like they're a heel tag team or heel faction, and they just let go of one of the better heel tag teams in the Revival. Like that's what's so frustrating is like you have quality wrestlers.
I like the Revival, and I just never. This is again side tangent because you brought it up, and obviously they were just on Jericho's pod. I never fully grasped like, oh, they need to be shot to the moon appeal about the Revival. They were like your classic 80s 90s tag team, right? Like they worked well together, they were fluid, the chemistry was there. But it was like, other than that, like it's not like they were blowing people away on the mic, right? Like they weren't doing crazy exceptional work there. They were doing great in-ring work, and that's all good. But
great in-ring heel work.
Yeah, and that's all good and fine. It was just the way people were talking about him was like that they were burying like the Shield at their prime. You know what I'm saying? And I just never felt that. And they obviously had when they made their initial debut on the main roster, like that was awesome. And then obviously there was an injury that happened and things kind of fizzled from there. But I don't know. I mean, there was also two of them, and again, neither of them were that good on the mic. Like, let's just be frank. Like, to be on SmackDown or to be on Raw, like you have to have some mic skills. Or hide it well, right?
Like, are the Forgotten Sons good on the mic?
I don't know. I feel like.
I mean, I hate to be saying like it's this tag team or the other. It's just like it's no, but funny, not funny.
You're right in that they're making it seem that way, right? Like it's with the Revival out of the way, they saw there was a hole to fill, and then they plucked the Forgotten Sons from NXT. So that's a great point. I just think it's early to tell, and I think Money in the Bank is going to be a great litmus test for the Forgotten Sons to kind of really put their stamp on can they hang on SmackDown.
Right.
So
all right, so let's move on to are we talking about these since they are going on concurrently? Are we talking about these at the same time, or should we break it up in terms of the ladder matches?
I feel like we have to talk about them at the same time. They're happening at the same time. This is 12 people.
This is the most
running up to the top.
Bizarre thing I've ever heard in my life. Like we're having 2 6-person ladder matches going on at the same time. I mean, we've talked about the stipulations of this match before, but we'll go into them one more time. This is happening at the WWE corporate headquarters. The match starts on the ground floor, and the wrestlers go up to the top and still have to get into a ring and climb a ladder and get the briefcase on the ceiling of corporate headquarters. Now, what we don't know is this going to be kind of like a race? Like, are we starting where everybody is kind of standing outside the doors and the doors open and then we start fighting each other? Do people come in at different times? Like you are, like if you're driving to work, like you drive up in a car, you get out and then you start fighting somebody. Like, I don't know how this is going to work logistically. I mean, visually, this is pre-taped, so this is going to look cool. Like that's without a question, this is going to look cool. Also, there's this report going around that someone is legit going off the top of the building.
I think I saw that too. That's going to be insane.
Someone's going off the top of the building. Who it is, I have no fucking clue. But apparently Vince showed somebody how to take a bump off the top of the building and be safe. So,
like Michael Scott.
Like this is going to be wild. Episode. Someone's getting thrown off the building. And so before we get in the match, who do you think is getting thrown off the building?
Well, let me look at these odds because I think that's gonna help me. Okay, who do I think? Who do I think it's going to be, or who do I want it to be? Because those
Who
are.
do you think is going to be thrown off the building?
I think
There's no way it's Daniel Bryan.
I think it's
not a chance in hell is it.
I'm gonna go with Otis.
See, I'm thinking Otis as well. I'm thinking it's either Otis or King Corbin. Those are the only two options for me. Rey Mysterio, too old. Daniel Bryan,
concussions.
not a chance in hell.
AJ, a little too old,
and he just got buried by the Taker. So, like, there's no way that's happening. I don't see any of the ladies taking a bump off the top of the building.
Maybe Asuka. She's been going a little nuts. Yeah. I think of the women, Asuka is the most likely. Like, it's not even that's not even close.
Or Dana Brooke.
Maybe Lacey. She was in like the military. She's not scared of anything. It's there's
no.
My top three is Otis, Asuka, and Lacey. Those are my, with Otis at the top of who's going to come.
Mine's Otis, King Corbin, and then like a big gap and maybe Asuka.
Yeah.
Like, God, Otis, a big fucking man, just getting thrown off the top of the building would be incredible.
I mean, but they're going to do. That being said, they're going to trick us a little bit with the camera angle, right? Like, they might be going off, but it's no way it's going to be like a 40-foot fall. It's going to be there's going to be like a secondary platform or, whatever to catch them.
They're definitely going to do some trickery with the camera where it's going to look like they're thrown off. Maybe there's like a crane with a pad, like 10 feet.
It's like it's going to be two shots, right? Them falling off. Yeah. And then they're going to cut immediately to them on the ground or whatever.
Right.
So,
so that's going to happen. Now, in terms of picks, I am at a bit of a loss with these ones. My heart says Shayna Alistair, but I could easily see it being Nia AJ Styles. I feel like Nia is getting heat right now, so it makes sense for her to have it. And AJ just had the best WrestleMania match in years. And has never won it, and he's getting up there in age, so I could see that happening.
Yeah, I mean,
but if they want to kind of usher in the new era, it's Alistair Shayna.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the women because I do think it's going to be Shayna. I think Becky needs someone to feud with, and her match with Shayna at Mania, again, was pretty good. Had some shenanigans, or the finish was pure shenanigans. It wasn't the best ending, so I think there's some unresolved issues there that Shayna will go solve. On the men's side, I got to go with AJ. I just think because when you're thinking about the winner here, right, you have to think about their potential rivalry with each top champion. So like AJ Drew, that makes a lot of sense. Or like him stalking Drew, him like stalking Braun or stalking The Fiend doesn't make quite as much sense, but neither, like Aleister Black stalking either of them doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Same with Bryan. Corbin has the fourth best odds to win. I think he should probably have the second best odds to win because him being like a chicken shit heel with the belt, with the briefcase, would be probably pretty good. King Corbin with a briefcase. He has won it before, so I think that's working against him. So but I'm going with AJ. That's my pick, and I think he deserves it. Like he's just never had it, and we've never seen that side of him to be able to work with a briefcase. And again, we talked about this last year. One of the main things I think you have to look for is, would they look good with the briefcase? Because they got to carry this shit around. It's gonna be part of their character. AJ with a briefcase, that
it's nice. Yeah, it's good to think about.
It's a good image, it's a good aesthetic. Same with Shayna. Nia even actually with the briefcase would be interesting, but I think it is going to be Shayna on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. AJ with the briefcase, just it fits. Now, I've seen some people talk about this on some other sites. So why do you think the reason was that AJ replaced Apollo Crews? Now, in the storyline, Apollo has an injury, but I don't think that's the real case.
Right.
I think he was taken out for other reasons. Personally, I feel like it's he gets the comeback story. He gets to come back out saying, I was never in the match. He can kind of fight the winner maybe. And it also leads to a potential heel turn. Maybe he works with MVP. and gets his mouthpiece and he becomes
Yeah,
a heel.
no, that's interesting. I mean, I think they were looking at, so let's imagine the men's side of this with Apollo Crews, right? That's Apollo Crews, Aleister Black, Daniel Bryan, Baron Corbin, Rey Mysterio, and Otis. Like, no one excites me about winning the briefcase there now, right? Like, just to be frank, even Aleister, like obviously Aleister would be at the top of that. I think they started to realize too many faces, too many white meat baby faces in that match to make it legitimate. And again, I just think the briefcase is just better with a heel. Like, they have to be a hunter.
I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. A heel with a briefcase, like, I think the best people with the briefcase have been Seth.
That was really good.
Dolph.
Edge was really good. Edge, yeah. So good.
Dolph really made it like his own. He carried that thing around for a year. That was like his championship. And then obviously when he cashed it in, he basically was able to turn because people are so excited about it. And I think that's what you need from it.
Yeah, that pop.
A lot of the time now, like, they got into this habit now of like the cash in is either being predetermined where people are like outright saying, I'm going to cash it in
at
a week,
this day,
which is dumb. Or they're cashing it the same night. And that was cool for the first 2 times. And now it's become redundant. Like, I really like it when they hold on for it for a long time and it comes out of nowhere. Yeah. I enjoy the shit out of that.
The unpredictability
is so great.
Yeah. The unpredictability of it that's what makes the briefcase so appealing. I think.
Right.
So, and it hasn't had, like, when Braun won it, again, he was, at the time, they were trying to push him as a face. And obviously he turned a little bit toward the end there, but when he was like, I'm going to cash this in against Roman at this date, you're like, well, what the hell's the point? Like, you might as well just do one of those stupid contract signings that they've fallen in love with. So it was, it has to be unpredictable. And AJ right now, is he's doing some A+ work, and I think they're going to reward him for the Boneyard match. Like, I just think there's also that we haven't even talked about. So I think that's going to be phenomenal. This card. Sorry, I just want to get your thoughts on this overall. Like, the card, despite it being kind of short, kind of dope. Like, kind of looking.
Yeah, I'm into it. Like, I like the fact that it's short. We don't need a 3-hour Money in the Bank.
No.
Go back to like In Your House time when it was like 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Yeah,
that's it.
I also think
need a whole bunch of matches.
I also think they're very aware that there's no crowd. They're pre-taping a lot of this, and they're going against The Last Dance. There's a lot of factors where they're like, we just got to get in and out, and send people home as quickly as possible.
I also think like these Money in the Bank matches are going to be lengthy, and there's going to be a lot of like Edge, Randy Orton vibes to them, where like it's just going to be people brawling in random spaces, and it's not going to be appealing. So another thing that I'm thinking about is, what if they do something really, really out of the box and strange? Is they start the night with the matches and they intersect the match, like the people going up the ladder or going up the corporate buildings, with matches in the ring. So it's like, hey, we'll start, here's 20 minutes of Money in the Bank.
So it's like,
but now here's Braun Strowman, and we'll like picture in picture, we have Money in the Bank going on. And then like those matches end and you go back for 20 more minutes of Money in the Bank. And then another match comes in and it's back to picture in picture.
I love this idea. It's like remember the movie Rat Race from like
Fucking
the early 2000s? Yeah. It'd be like that, but with wrestling. So
yeah, because like, if you think about it, this match is going to be weird. Like, these matches are going to be weird. Like, they're going to be wrestling upstairs in an elevator in corporate offices. It's going to be awful at times. Like, it's not going to be appealing. Like, Edge Randy Orton was a sludge.
Yeah.
It was terrible to watch. And that's because outside of like a couple of matches here and there, fighting in random spaces is just not appealing to watch. So why not, during most of the time when things get dull and you get tired of someone, like just people just throwing like forearm after forearm and like all that kind of stuff, throw in a new match and then have it a picture in picture so you can continue to watch this.
I love this idea. I hope that's what they're doing, because they've also pre-taped it from what we understand. So they have the footage. They can just pop that in. So before we get out of here, 2 questions for you. What is the most likely female-male wrestling interaction that we're going to have because they have to overlap, right? They have to start and end kind of in the same spot. I'm sure there's gonna be some crossing of paths. I feel like Shayna's gonna do something to Otis. I feel like or Nia.
I think Nia
is definitely gonna be
Mysterio
involved
with something.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think she's definitely gonna be
Nia
involved.
does something to Rey Mysterio.
I think Asuka spits the green mist into like Baron Corbin's face, something like that.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
I think this is the second thing I wanted to bring up. I think we're gonna have a moment where Shayna climbs the men's ladder and teases grabbing the briefcase. I don't think she's gonna pull it, but I think she's gonna have a moment. I don't know how they're structured or where they're placed.
They should be right next to each other.
Right. So I think there's gonna be that moment where a woman near the top is going to tease grabbing the men's briefcase.
I like it. Maybe Shayna or Nia.
Shayna or Nia are the only ones where it could be.
Okay,
maybe
so
Asuka.
My question to
crazy.
you is, what do you predict what do you predict to be like the most absurd in office spot to be? Like something that's going to take place inside the building. What do you think is going to be the most absurd? Like I'm thinking of like Edge climbing to the top of like the ladder or the
grating,
above the conference room table.
I think we're gonna have a moment. So this is at WWE HQ. I think we're gonna have a moment where someone is going to wrestle into Vince's office, and Vince is just gonna be at his desk. He's gonna look over. Sorry, moving away from the mic. He's gonna look over, say something witty, like get the hell out of here, or something like that. Like there's gonna be a moment where they're gonna wrestle into someone's office. It's gonna be Vince. It's gonna be Trips. It's gonna be Stephanie. And so we're gonna have that moment.
I think someone gets a swirly.
Yeah, I was gonna have to say we're absolutely gonna have a bathroom moment. Like there's no. I think there's gonna be a moment where someone is beating someone up and they get tired. They're gonna go to the water cooler, pop in some water, take a swig, throw some water in their opponent's face. We're gonna have some like classic office stuff. I think there's gonna be a Zoom. There's going to be a Zoom thing. Someone's going to be in a Zoom meeting. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to appeal to all of us who kind of work 9 to 5.
I think someone's going to try. I think I talked about this on the pod before. I think someone's going to get on an elevator and get to try to go up, and then someone's going to run up the stairs and meet them when they get out of the elevator, and they're going to fight.
That's a good point.
I don't think anybody gets thrown downstairs.
I've seen that. I'm trying to think of like weird.
I think
office
someone gets
things.
hit with a clipboard. Like there's gonna be a random clipboard like hanging around. Someone gets hit with that. Shit.
They're gonna go into
maybe
a
someone's
break
on
room.
a Zoom call and they get thrown through the TV and the Zoom call ends that way.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of witty. There's gonna be some witty remarks made, like witty office remarks. There's definitely gonna interrupt like a full-on meeting, like a full-on conference room meeting.
Do they go to catering? Do they go into catering and someone and it becomes like a food fight?
No, I think because I feel like you could do that at any regular show, and like,
True.
would you have catering at HQ? Like, you just go to the break room.
Do they have a break room? I don't know. Like, this is the questions that we should have asked Kaz. Do they
Kaz,
have catering in the corporate headquarters?
That's actually a great point. We got to get Kaz back on to talk about life at WWE HQ.
All right, so let's wrap this up. So I think we're in agreement here. Like, as much as I really want it to be Alistair and Shayna, I think logically it's AJ and Shayna winning the briefcase.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. So make sure you watch this on Sunday. If you're into The Last Dance, watch it on two screen. Pull out two screens. Watch Money in the Bank. Watch Last Dance.
Show us your multi-screen setups. Send us your
multi-screen setups. We'll be live tweeting to the best of our ability. I may have some crossover tweets where I accidentally tweet something about The Last Dance on the show account.
Yeah.
So make sure you follow us on social at 2 Jabronis Pod on Instagram and on Twitter. We do have to up our Instagram game up a little bit lately. I've been kind of dragging and not putting up as many graphics as I used to, so I will get better at that. Make sure you subscribe and like our videos on YouTube down below.
Subscribe. I think it's like right
subscribe
here.
Follow us at 2 Jabronis Pod in the app, in the BR app. You can follow me at Jeremy A. Loss, and you can follow Ben at Cruise Control. That's control with a K.
And don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're one of our fantastic Apple Podcast users, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Also, I finally posted my hostage photo today. Much to your brother's joy. It's the most engagement we've had on an Instagram post in a long time, and I kind of hate it. I kind of hate that that's what it took. It's some self-deprecation on my end. I had to actually find the photo because it was so long ago. It's when we had the old show name, so it's the hoops I had to jump through to prove that I was a real person to Instagram. But go check that out. I'll probably put the link in the show description. In the meantime, we will catch you on Sunday for Money in the Bank. And actually next week, we've got our boy, Chris Van Vliet, the YouTube king himself. Maybe he can give us some YouTube tips because we're still figuring this whole thing out. But Chris Van Vliet has got it figured out. His most recent conversations are with Heath Slater and with Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal stuff. Go check them out before he hops on the show next week. And in the meantime, keep staying healthy, keep staying home, keep washing your hands. Don't be a jabroni. We will catch you soon. All right, everyone. Peace.
Stay safe.